Alright, so I got the Nikon ZR and I'm going to test out if either this is an extremely overhyped camera or it's going to replace my entire Sony setup. As you can see, I have the Sony G Master 28-70 on f2 on the A7IV, and I have the 50 f2 f1.2 on the Nikon ZR. And basically, I am, as you can see, fully invested in Sony glass. I have a ton of CFexpress cards, I have a ton of Sony glass, ton of Sony accessories like the hot shoe mount, tons of CFexpress Type-C cards. I can keep rambling, keep going on and on, but in this video, I just wanted to cover exactly my thoughts on a Nikon ZR because I've been using it for quite a bit now, and I've been doing a lot of research, and I just want to talk about all the important points from Sony switching to Nikon ZR. Should I do it? Should you do it? Is that the move for the future? And everything that I learned. And basically, I'm just gonna timestamp this entire video because I have a feeling I'm gonna be talking for quite a bit. And if any of these answer your question, you can either go directly to timestamp or comment down below and I'll answer any of your questions. So the Nikon ZR, right? The goal was I wanted a bigger screen. I wanted something that's user-friendly, good autofocus, and really I just wanted to test it out. The 32-bit flow internal and the 6K RAW, that was something that interests me. That would be, the question I asked myself is, if I want to be the best filmmaker, what camera should I get, right? I do have an FX3. I have an FX3 with already the most expensive glass that you can ever get for Sony, the top of the line lenses for Sony. And the question I asked myself is, I want to be the best filmmaker, just becoming the best at, like, of all time, what will be the camera to get? And I was okay, red raw, shooting in 6K resolution, and that big screen. Big screen was a big selling point for me. Let's just try it out, try it for a month. If you don't like it, just return it. So I'm in my 30th, I have 30 days to finally decide, and there's a lot of things that I could say. So let's get into the video. So quick backstory, I'm handling 12 plus clients, doing a lot of social media content, meaning I have to upload and deliver projects extremely quickly. Can the Nikon ZR do it? Short answer, yes, it can. Surprisingly, shooting in 4K H.265 is honestly not as bad as people are saying. People are saying you need big file sizes. Right, I just want to test out the audio. I don't have a internal microphone on here, but chances are I want to go over and edit and just see how it looks like so far. Right, that's why, because I was on photo mode. But I was using the Nikon ZR with the camera lens at 20mm. I think the audio is working, so I have the Sony ECM-M1, so the setup is a lot tinier, a lot easier to use. So let's see how it looks like. One thing that I don't like is the adapter, right? So the autofocus works completely fine. I have confidence shooting an expensive shoot with this, with a Sony lens with the adapter. And this is the Viltrox adapter. It's about 150 USD, 130 USD, it's really not that expensive. I'm fully confident with it. I have no issues with it, but there are sometimes it does not connect. For example, if I turn this on, it will work, right? You see f2.8 here. I can go down f2. I can focus very easily to that plant, right? Let me just tap that over there. There you go, it's focused, and it's focusing completely fine. Yes, on Sony, it's probably a tad faster, but it's definitely workable. For an f1.2, and I shoot in shallow depth of field, f2, f2.8, it is completely fine. I have no issues, but there are times where it does glitch. Can Nikon update it? Probably. But right now, as of right now, the camera came out about 2 or 3 months ago, and it glitches sometimes, which completely makes sense because, again, you're using a Sony lens on a Nikon camera. It's like using a Nikon lens on a Sony camera. I was honestly expecting that it's gonna be a lot worse, but it's better than I initially thought. So as you can see right now, I have my Tamron lens and it is not connecting, right? As you can see right there, it's not connecting. This happens quite often, I would say 30% of the time. And I would either have to turn off the camera, turn it back on, and then there you go. Now it's working. Sometimes that issue doesn't work, and then I have to take off the lens, put it back on, turn it back on. And that can be a hassle for some people. If you're shooting a wedding or something more intense, that can be a hassle for some people. So that could be a big deal breaker for some people if you're using Sony glass on the Nikon. Me personally, why I decided first, because I still have the 30 days, but even if I decide to keep it, I would still keep Sony glass because a lot of the people I work with have Sonys. When I do weddings, everyone has Sonys. When I do corporate shoots, everyone has Sonys, and it's nice to share lenses. So that's why, for me, I prefer having Sony. So that's the initial red flags that I had. It works completely fine on a gimbal using a DJI RS3, RS4, RS5. It's completely fine, but the connectivity on the A7IV or the Sonys in general tends to be faster when it comes to connectivity, the Bluetooth side. So when I turn on the camera, it connects instantly. With this one, I have to wait about 5 to 8 seconds longer. I'm not sure why, but the Bluetooth does take a bit longer. So that's with the gimbal. When I turn off the gimbal, right, because I want to save battery, or when I turn off the camera, I'll show you that afterwards too. When I turn it back on, it connects automatically almost instantly. So boom, now I can press record, and as you can see, it is now recording, which is very nice. Let's say I want to turn off my camera to save a little bit of battery, turn that off. The gimbal is still on if I want to, right? It says camera disconnected. When I turn on the camera, it connects instantly and I can press record, and there you go, it's recording. Very fast setup, extremely quick, and that's what I like. It is not connecting automatically. You might say, well, it's because it was just connected to this camera. Let's do that. So let's turn on the Bluetooth. Let's wait till it appears. So I have to go on the Bluetooth page. Over here, I might have to completely save a wireless connection again. So go there, maybe reset. So go on this page, turn on the Nikon ZR. Finally have that connect, confirm, and then there you go. Now it's connecting. So now when I press record, I can now be filming. I am also using a Sony mic, a Sony lens. The autofocus works extremely well, but as you can see, sometimes the connections doesn't work. So now what I have to do, first let me end the recording. Sometimes what I have to do, right, is usually take off the lens, put it back on. I have my Sony lens over here, put it back on, and then hope it connects, and it's still not working. When it does work though, the autofocus is extremely quick, very snappy, almost no issue at all. But as you can see, it's not working. So it's kind of annoying. Maybe I just didn't clip it properly. I'm gonna have to do that. Still not working. So I love it. I love the camera when it works. There's a lot of quirks, a lot of features that's really nice. I like the big screen. Definitely that's one of the biggest selling points other than the raw recording. I don't really use raw recording too much. I would rather fast-paced content for social media use, which many people will just say, just get the Sony, get the A7IV, get the A7V. But something for me, I just wanted to try out something different, like a big screen. But right now, it's not working. So for sure, if you have Nikon native glass, this issue will probably not appear. But for me, since I have a lot of Sony glass, and I find I have a lot of my team work on Sony, so I find it a plus if I can use Sony, but there are some times where it does glitch like this. So for a quick fix, I really wanted to get this video for the gimbal, but for now, just to fix this issue, because I want to have the autofocus to work, I'm going to put a Sony Tamron lens on this, and I usually don't have any issue, and I'm having issue. Let me turn it back on. There you go. So now it's connected. The Tamron's connected. Now the autofocus is working really well, and let's quickly stabilize it a little bit, not too much. And then now, there you go. So I turned off the camera, right? Let's turn on the gimbal. Let's start filming. And it doesn't work. I have to reconnect again. I have to go through here, right, on the gimbal, Bluetooth, connect. Now it's connected, confirm, and then now it works. Which is honestly not a big issue for some. At least the Bluetooth works compared to my FX3, which does not work at all. at least it does work. The autofocus works very smoothly, but that's not Bluetooth, that's not unrelated to the gimbal, but it works, right? It works when I need to use it. 32-bit float is super handy, but the issue with 32-bit float is that my DJI mics, even the DJI Mark III, does not support 32-bit float. I haven't confirmed yet for Rode, maybe Rode does, but from what I'm aware with is that the DJI mics does not film in 32-bit float. You have to record internally 32-bit float. It doesn't work even with the hot shoe. The hot shoe, however, works in 24-bit float if you ever need that. So it works, but it just takes time to connect. So for a fast workflow like me, the A7IV wins this. But for something that's more fun to use, bigger screen, the Nikon ZR is a bit more fun when it comes to that case. The only way to fix this is that you have to keep your camera on, or I have to keep the Nikon ZR just on all the time. I typically like to have my brightness screen to the max so I can see it, and keeping the screen, especially this large screen, I can imagine it's gonna drain the battery a lot. But using a gimbal with this, let's say you're doing weddings, I like to turn off my camera when I'm not using it to save a bit of juice, save a bit of battery. Same thing with my gimbal. Sometimes I like to turn it off, and the gimbal auto locks. When I turn it back on, it takes 5 to 8 seconds to connect. Whether with this, instead of the Sony's, it connects instantly. Mind you, I use an A7S III for my gimbal, simply because all the FX3s that I've bought all ended up not working the Bluetooth. I updated the FX3. There's a ton of Reddit threads, people asking questions on Reddit saying that their Bluetooth isn't working on FX3. It's completely common, which is what I really don't like about the FX3. I love the FX3, I love shutter angle, but when the Bluetooth doesn't work, especially when you're doing weddings, when you're filming a lot, you're pressing the button a lot, it's really annoying. So at least with this one, at least it works. It takes a bit longer, but at least it works. So that's with the Bluetooth side. Now let's go on other things that I like with the screen. Now let's go on with other things that I love with the camera. So the screen is amazing. What I like about it though is that the speaker is louder than the A7IV. So sometimes when I'm doing client shoots and I'm filming and I want to show them the clip, if they want to watch it side by side, it works really well. The Sony A7IV, or just the Sony in general, the speakers are just absolutely non-existent. It has speakers, but it's not even worth. Sometimes when the clients go, oh, can I see the clip? Can I see how it turned out? When I show them with the Sony, it's just like you can just watch it, but the audio is gonna be really bad. And then usually they're okay. They just want to see the clip. You just have to tell them the audio is good. Don't worry about it. But with this, none other than the screen being huge, right? Let's show a comparison right now. Let me turn this on, right? Other than the screen being huge, right? I don't know if it's really that much of a difference, but other than the screen being huge, right? When I am filming with the Nikon ZR, filming the audio, yes, it's 32-bit float as well, so I can adjust that. When I'm filming with the mic, I connect my DJI microphone, which I have a mini, which completely works fine when I'm recording. For some people, they have an issue. For the DJI Mark II, it usually blocks it, but the mini is no issue. So when I press play, right, and hear the audio, mini is no issue. Wait, let me go to the next clip. Filming with the Nikon ZR, filming the audio. Yes, it's 32-bit float as well, so I can adjust that. When I'm filming with the mic, I connect my DJI microphone. So as you can see, the microphone is, not the microphone, sorry, the speaker is quite loud. So I can have clients watch a clip right away if they want to. Or not even the clients, just me personally. I have to look at the audio, monitor audio, I can hear it and see it's not bad, let's move on, let's keep going. I cannot do that with the Sony. I really have to bring my own earphones, or if not, just pray that it works. But that's one thing that's a big pro with the Nikon ZR. And again, I did talk about this, but the screen is honestly quite good. When I'm navigating through the screen, it's honestly super easy. It feels like I'm on a phone. Super responsive, and it's honestly quite easy to understand. I was thinking, I'm like, oh, it's new. It's another system. Like, I have to understand the settings. I don't know how the video codec works, but to be honest, it took me like 1 hour and I fully understood everything. It was super easy to understand, and the file sizes are really easy to understand as well. So switching to a new system, switching to Nikon was not that bad of an issue. I actually found it kind of fun. I like watched a ton of videos understanding which one's which, and the big screen just makes it more enjoyable to really use it. So switching system wasn't that of an issue. Now, when it comes to custom dials, people would say compared to the Sonys, especially the FX3s, there's a lot of dials you can adjust. There's a front dial that I have set for aperture and a back dial that I have set to my shutter angle. And in my ISO, I just simply press it and then you can adjust it, right? Oh, wait, no. You can adjust it quickly here, which I really like. To be honest, using the screen is not an issue at all. It is honestly like the dials, yes, it's nice having extra dials, but the screen makes it easier to adjust the settings, and I haven't had any issue at all. So when it comes to having less buttons, when it comes to this case, having a good big screen, for me personally, all I really like, not that all I really need, but one thing that are non-negotiables is a front dial and a back dial. In case I'm doing pictures and I need to quickly adjust the aperture or shutter, that's a must needed for me. And this has that, so usually I don't really adjust it much. I can do that manually. I can do that on the screen. With this big screen, the front and back dial, to be honest, that's more enough for me when it comes to dials. So that was my thoughts on the body. Another issue, well, not another issue, but one thing with the camera body that you have to keep a note of is the type of SD card used. So as mentioned, right, coming from Sony, chances are, right, you have a lot of not micro SD, but SD cards, type A cards. This takes none of that. If it had SD cards, honestly, I'd be super happy about that because I can just take it off, plug it on my MacBook. But it does not even have SD card. It has micro SD cards. It's not bad because then with the big files that I'm filming, chances are I'm gonna buy a CFexpress type B, but I have to buy another type of card. I'd rather just stick with one CFexpress type A. So it is quite annoying, but that's what it is. So that's one thing to keep a note of. So overall, we touched on the autofocus, the ergonomics, the UI. So far, everything is good with this camera. The only thing is that I'm so invested in Sony. That is the only thing. And number two is that I work with a lot of people that have Sony. So it's easy to switch glass. It's easy to like, it's with that comes, there's a lot of little things like buying used lenses is a lot easier. Selling your gear is a lot easier. Searching up tutorials is easier because it's been out for a while. Sony's been out for many years, so it's a reliable camera. Everybody knows the FX3 is a good reliable camera. This came out maybe 5 years ago and people are still using it today, other than the Bluetooth not working. But the A7IV, it's been out for a couple years and everybody still uses it today. The Nikon, we don't know, right? I don't know personally. It probably has good history. The Nikon has been out for a while, but I don't know if this adapter is gonna be flimsy. It's just, I don't know. And overall, in conclusion, it made me realize that yes, the codecs on the Nikon ZR are better. I am most likely going to stick with my Sony system and ending up returning the Nikon ZR. It's extremely fun, the Nikon ZR. I like that it's lighter than the FX3 and lighter than the A7IV. But when it comes to a logical perspective, I understand Sony like the back of my hand. I understand the menus. It's easy to share lenses. I have all the SD cards, and to shift all of that, to sell everything and to go with Nikon, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna take time. And right now with the Sony A7IV and hopefully the FX3 Mark II, it's hopefully gonna be as good or better than the Nikon ZR, and I don't mind spending more money for it. So all goes to say, if you're on Sony and you want to invest on Nikon, that's just everything that is going through my head when making this decision. But for example, if you're a filmmaker, again, if you need that red raw and you need that high codec, then you'd probably disregard everything that I'm saying and sticking with the Nikon ZR. But for me, when it comes to weddings, when it comes to short form content, when it comes to fast delivery, fast turnaround, understanding the codec, understanding the picture profile, and sometimes not shooting an S-Log, it is the way to go for me. And that's my conclusion on the Nikon ZR with all the possible issues that I mentioned in the video. So if you guys ended up deciding on getting the Nikon ZR, let me know in the comments because I'm curious to know your thoughts. And let's see, I hope in the future it does get better. But for now, I'm going to have to stick with my Sony glass because the Nikon ZR, which it is reliable, sometimes it has a few glitches, like the lens not working and just little twerks, like the Bluetooth taking a little bit longer, and the micro SD card. Guys, I can't believe they put a micro SD card. That's like, why? Type A express cards, that I understand because Sony, I think, has a copy of that or a license. They own Type A cards, so no other camera brands can do Type A cards. But that's pretty much it. Again, if you guys made a decision, comment down below, or if this video helped you, again, comment down below. And I'm gonna leave timestamps all over this video, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. But that was just me expressing my thoughts on the Nikon ZR. So let me know in the comments which camera did you end up going for, and let me know if I also made the good decision. If you guys think so. So that's pretty much it, and I'll catch you guys next time.